Hey everybody, it's Joseph, and today I want to make a video about being nice, just simply being nice. Um, in today's world, there's a lot of hate, more than I've ever seen in my life. And I'm somebody in my early 60s. I've never seen so much hate in the world. Yes, a lot of it comes from the internet and what it stirs up, but that still doesn't mean you can't be nice. I think if more people or if all people were nice in person and online, the world would be just a much better place. Uh, and for me, it started when I was young. I tried to be nice when I was a kid. I wasn't one that threw tantrums if I didn't get my way or anything like that. Um, when I became a teen and I, met my first girlfriend, I made sure I was always nice to her parents. And every girlfriend I had after that, I made sure I was nice to their parents. Even to this day with my wife, I love my in-laws. We get along great. So always try to be nice. And that even goes for when you're in public, such as going through the drive-through, something as simple as going through the drive-through of a fast food. Always be nice. Be nice to those food servers when you're at a restaurant, because you got to remember, these are people that are handling your food. So you always want to be nice to them. When they come on and they say, "Are you going to be using the app today?" I said, "No, thank you, not today." At the end, when they asked me, "Does that complete my order?" I said, "Yep, that'll do it. Thank you." I'm always nice. My wife giggles when she hears me at the drive-through. Whenever I have to make phone calls for utilities or for doctors, insurances, pharmacies, whatever, any type of phone call, I try to be nice. And I do get a lot more done by being nice. If something's not going my way and I start yelling at them, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get it done. I just don't believe it. But when I'm nice to them and we have a nice conversation and I say, "Thank you very much. You've been a lot of help. I really appreciate what you've done." You know, things get done. The other day, the internet went down, the DSL went down, and I had to call the phone company. And of course, like always, I got somebody in what I believe is India, and I had a hard time understanding what they were saying. And I kept asking them, "Can you please repeat that? Can you please repeat that? I don't quite understand." And they would talk a little slower. I didn't get upset and ask them, "Can I speak to your supervisor?" Uh, and it was because the internet did go down and they were out there working on it. When they turned it back on, it didn't activate my modem properly. So I got this person to walk me through uh, turning it back on, and everything worked out fine. Everything, I'm back online. Everything was great. I thank them. If they have a survey at the end, I always, give it a nice mark, or give them nice reviews. So it's just be nice. You get a lot more done. Um, as far as the food servers go, uh, and if anyone has not seen this movie called Waiting, it is an R-rated movie, so be aware. It is kind of crude. But once you see that movie, I promise you, you will never treat your food servers bad ever again. I've asked a few food servers about that movie, and several of them told me it's absolutely true. So if there's one group of people you really got to be nice to, it's the people handling your food. Cannot stress that enough. Um, but whenever you're out and about in public, and you're at a cashier, someone's helping you, dealing with you, remember, they might be having a bad day. And if you can be complimentary to them, it goes a long ways. Makes them feel good. You'll feel good for it. Uh, there's nothing wrong with being nice. If we're all nice to one another, like I said earlier, life would be better for all of us. Um, when you're online and you want to leave a comment, there's nothing wrong with being given criticism, but some people take it way too far and they just use cuss words, or they just put down somebody and they call them names. Uh, I don't know what they get out of that. You just, you're just you're not accomplishing anything. You're not going to make that person listen to what you're saying. You're just going to make them angry. And now that might be what you're trying to do, is just make someone angry, get a rise out of them. I don't know why people do that. Um, My father has been one that would do that sometimes. Sometimes he enjoys getting a rise out of somebody. I don't understand that. Um, but he has narcissism in him, and narcissistic people can be like that. They sometimes enjoy getting a rise out of somebody, uh, making them mad. I've never been that person. I don't like doing that. Whenever I'm on the phone with family and friends, I try to, not just be nice, but chime in on what they want to talk about. And that's a key thing we're talking with people on the phone or in person, people you just meet. If you hear what they're talking about, try and chime in on what they're talking about. Uh, um, but I know some people will like to just completely hijack the conversation and only talk about what they want to talk about. And if you give any input on what you want to talk about, they may not, they don't jump on board and they just want to continue talking about what they talk about. I know those situations are not easy. So, you just have to like kindly excuse yourself and tell them that, have a great day. We'll talk again some other time and, move out your day, just move along. Um, I know sometimes it's hard to be nice with maybe certain family members, certain neighbors. Those are the more trying ones. But still, the old saying, kill them with kindness. And that does go a long ways. Uh, Sometimes you can diffuse a situation if you're so kind that it's hard for them to get even madder, and it does kind of stop them in their tracks. You have to excuse me right now, there's a plane flying over. But it's a great way to diffuse uh, a situation before it gets even worse. If instead of trying to win the argument with a person who, never says die, sometimes it's just better just to back off and say, oh, okay, all right, we'll talk about it later, and give them a smile. It doesn't mean you're giving in or you're giving into defeat. You're just the better person. You're just going to back off, say, okay, well, we'll talk. We'll touch upon this later. All right, smile and say, what else you want to do today? What do you want to have for dinner? Whatever it is, and just try and make nice. There's nothing wrong with that. It goes a long way. Like I said, your life is better for it, and you just might wake them up from being angry, and maybe you'll pass it along, and maybe they just might be a little nicer to you one day. I don't know that for a fact, but it's worth a shot. So that's my advice to everybody, especially young people. If you start now being nice, going forward for the rest of your life, it will pay off. You will feel better for it. You'll look better. You'll look back with fonder memories. It's just I just can't say enough about it. So that's it for me today, folks. So everybody out there, my advice: be nice.